Dory 1, this is Fireteam Delta. Dad's coming home.
Welcome to the Military Veteran Dad Podcast, where it is our mission to bring every dad home. I am your host, Ben Killoy. I'm a United States Marine veteran, husband, and a father. We will bring authentic conversations to inspire action in your life so we can close the gap between the dad you are today and the dad you want to be tomorrow. This is the Military Veteran Dad Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Fatherhood Friday. It feels amazing to be within June. We are in the full week of June. It feels absolutely amazing. The weather here in Wisconsin has been gorgeous, and I can remember this time last year in Wisconsin, the weather was not so gorgeous. It took almost till the middle of June before we had a good 80-degree day, and it was mostly stuck in the 70s. It was mostly stuck in the chilled weather. But man, June has been perfect, delivered in great weather. It's been great time with the family, great time outside playing in the pool, and it's just been really great, and summer is just getting started. But this episode today, I want to bring you right before the end of my journey. So today is day 72 of my 75 Hard journey. And for those who don't know, 75 Hard is a challenge that was started by Andy Frisella, who owns the MFCEO podcast and now owns the RF podcast by Andy Frisella. And his journey started last year with the idea of 75 Hard, and he launched it, and it's kind of become this internet phenomenon. There's lots of people out there doing it. I was actually it really hit hard when Chris Coker, a friend of mine that I follow, started doing it, and last fall he wrapped up in it. I was like, man, I really could use that in my life. But I had every excuse in the book of why it wasn't the right time to commit to 75 days. But then June 27th comes around, I lose my job. Then this COVID comes around, the world gets shut down, and I did some inward reflection, and I was like, man, I can do this. Like, if there was ever a better time to just stick to 75 days on something, it's right now in COVID. So I really had this mindset that on the other side of COVID-19, I really wanted to be someone better than I was before COVID. That assuming I don't die from COVID, I wanted this to be one of the best things that ever happened to me, that it gave me a gift of time and freedom to truly radically step into a life that I was only dreaming about for most of my life. And 75 Hard was that accountability partner that I always needed, and it was always there, like a great friend, like, hey, you got to do your 75, you got to do your 75. And it was there throughout the entire time, and we were all the family is here, so it's a little bit easier to wire in during the day. You're not juggling work and all the different things. And I really took this as an opportunity to knock it out. And I'm so glad I did, because I am almost there at 75, and how I feel and how I look when I look in the mirror, I feel so powerful. I feel so strengthful. And those were words that I never used to describe myself when I looked in the mirror. So today's topic, we are going to talk about the top 5 takeaways for me going on this journey. And and you think about 75 Hard as a health challenge. That's usually what it gets described as. But that's inaccurate. It has a health component, but it is a mental reset. It is a mental flush on all the discipline, all the habits, all the BS that you tell yourself. It will flush it out over and over. It doesn't matter how many times that weed of a thought grows back. It gets rounded up every day, because you have to do the work. And it is so powerful that you just have to keep going. So for me, the very first one, number 1, is never going back mentality. So what you don't realize, and I don't think I fully consciously realized, but whenever you pick a diet, or when you pick a routine, or you pick maybe a New Year's resolution, subconsciously, you're adding a backdoor. You're always adding a backdoor that, you know what, if this really doesn't work out and I don't really like it, I can just back out. That I can just go back to being me. And more often than not, I would get some results, but I would always take the back door. That back door was always there for me. And I used it several times. I would learn something on the journey, but I would always take the back door. Back door this, back door that. And that back door doesn't exist in 75, because you're in a journey for 75 days. It's not a 30-day challenge. It's not a 20-day challenge. It's not a 10-day challenge. It's 75 days. That is over 3 months of your time. There is no back door. And so by the time you get to like day 5, you kind of have this mindset, you know what, if I really had to go back to day 1, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But when you get to day 10, when you get to day 15, when you get to day 20, day 25, you're like, there is no way I'm sacrificing all that work that I put in. Like day one to me is like the craziest thought that I've ever had in the universe. And I never really had that in my mindset. And now even on day 72, there is no way I'm going back to day one. So now within the habits, the routines that you have to do every day, you move mountains to get those done. Doesn't matter because there is no way you are going to tell yourself that you completed 75 hard as a lie, or maybe you were not truthful that you didn't do everything every day. Because deep down inside, you're going to know that you didn't tell the truth to yourself. So you're like, I am never going back. And that is part of the process that I really loved about this. That never going back part of it really just opened me up in a way that I could just go get the work done and keep seeing and feeling the results. Number 2, it teaches you that the conditions for success are never perfect, but the work still needs to be done. And what do I mean by that? And that's not my saying. That's something I originally heard when Andy Frisella announced this idea that he had and essentially built off on all things that he had been doing in his life up to this idea of 75 hard. And I just realized also I maybe hadn't broken down what 75 hard is for those of you listening. So essentially 75 hard is 2 exercises, both 45 minutes, one inside, one outside. It has to be outside. There's no exceptions to that. And you have to do that every day. So 2 exercises, 2 workouts every day. Gallon of water, 10 pages in a book. It has to be a physical book. It can't be an audio book. And you have to pick a diet to stick to. So there's a lot of things within that the conditions for success may not be perfect. It may be raining. It may be cold. It may be windy. You may have a party that you're going to. Your family may be eating pizza. Your family may be eating popcorn. Those conditions are there. And you have the choice every time they happen. Do I go back to day one? Or do I keep going on my results? And the one that really always hit me was when you go out for a walk, and that's usually what I did for my workout in the afternoon, or for the outdoor one. I just would go on a walk for 45 minutes with the family or by myself, depends on what was going on. But when you go outside and it's raining, or it's super cold, because back in March, it wasn't some of the best weather, and spring really blue screened quite a bit, where it went back to like 40 degrees and 30 degrees. I probably took 6 or 7 walks in just downpouring rain. And that was because, one, maybe I had piss poor planning that day and I should have checked the weather and maybe took it earlier, but didn't. But you still got to do the work. And when you go out there and you do the work and it's just completely surrounded by rain and you're wet and you're soaked, the only thing that goes through your mind is I did the work even when the conditions weren't successful. Another one is the morning workout where you're doing it inside. So I picked T25 from the Beachbody to be my supplement. And then I also added an adder for 100 push-ups every day to max out to 45 minutes for the inside workout. But I'd have to get that workout in right away when I got down. I'd meditate. I would do my reading right away when I woke up. And I would get down in the basement. And not always did I want to go down the basement, but I had to get it done. Because if I didn't get it done there, the entire day would be a set of dominoes that would fall apart. I knew that this was a commitment that had no exceptions, and I needed to get it done, whether I felt like going downstairs to do the work or whether I didn't feel like going downstairs and doing the work. It had to get done because, like I said, I'm never going back to day one. Number 3, it reprograms you to get that important done. So when you have these 5 things to do, you have to reprioritize your entire schedule because you could essentially set yourself up for success or failure one day. And maybe it's 9 o'clock and you haven't gone for a walk or gone for a run outside, whatever you picked for your outdoor workout. And you need to get it done. Otherwise, you're going back to day one. I can't tell you how many walks I went on at 9 o'clock. It was in the early days when I was really working on that planning. But there was many a nights I went for a walk after the kids had gone to bed because I hadn't gotten done. I've been in bed getting ready to fall asleep and realized I forgot to do my push-ups that day and had to come down in my boxers, do them in the living room on the floor, and pump out 100 push-ups because I'm like, I'm not going back to day one, and I'm not going to lie to myself that I did my push-ups today when I didn't, because those push-ups were, again, a part of my morning workout. And all of that work had to get done every single day. And so it reprograms you to make sure that those things get done over and over for 75 days. And now on the other side of this 75 hard challenge, there's going to be different things that I really want to keep in my day, or maybe there's something I want to incorporate. I now have the tools and resources to make sure that my life is designed in a way to make this happen. Number 4, digging deeper. So much of this is about reprogramming what you're capable of. And most men today set a bar at mediocre And most men aren't challenged in a way that they have to push past mediocre. I would say that would be a default that I fell into for a long time. And this really challenged me that you need to dig deeper in places that you don't talk about at dinner parties to get the work done, to do the work when you don't feel like it, and to keep going despite your feelings. That's a very important part of this, that you have to learn to take action even when you feel sad, even when you feel angry, even when you feel happy. All of these things, the work still has to get done. And so for 75 days, you're having everything reprogrammed. You're having your mental health reprogrammed. Every excuse you've had for why you can't get to the life that you've wanted is gone. There is no excuse viable enough to make it keep going because you don't want to go back to day one. So it's been a complete mental flush for me because that discipline is there now. I feel so excited when I start doing these 75 hard things during the day. And I feel amazing on the end of the day because I got them done. I got them done on my terms versus kind of reacting to them. And there's something else that you learn through this process is in the beginning, you feel like you're playing defense with 75 hard. Like it's the boss and it's reminding you got to get this done. And it's 5 o'clock and you realize, oh, I'm behind my water. I didn't read. I need to do my workouts. And you're on defense. You're trying to save the day and you're not really in control. But that lesson every single day, because if you failed the day and maybe didn't get it all done when you wanted to, but you got it done, tomorrow's a new opportunity to try again. And slowly but surely, those little reps get you on the offense in your life and you start preparing for success instead of reacting to what's coming to you. And you realize that you can do that every day with anything, not just 75 hard. And so number 5 is the most important one. So when I was back in March, I knew I was like, you know what? I really want to be the person that I want to be in the mirror on the other side of this. I am so tired of not feeling that when I looked in the mirror. I felt it almost my entire life for the last 20 years. I've done other growth areas. I've created amazing things. This podcast even came out of a person that didn't have that version of himself in the mirror yet. And I was like, I am so tired of not feeling that and recognizing who I am and being able to step into myself and always be worried about what other people are thinking about me because my brain was always saying, you don't look that great in the mirror. And I was like, I am tired of this. I'm going to knock this excuse 1-2 punch out and it's going to go. And for me, I jumped in and said, you know what? I can do 75 days. If it takes 75 days to get me to that life that I've always wanted, that's going to be something that I can do. And with COVID, it gave me the perfect opportunity. So I want to challenge you because number 5 is 75 days to change your life. And you can probably go up to a lot of people that you run into and you can ask them, do you look at things and think, you know, like, I wonder if there's a pill I could take to get me where I want to be? Or I wonder if there's a certain amount of money people would pay to get them to where they want to be. And most people probably would pick a number and they would say, man, I would pay $5,000 to be the person I've always wanted to be. Now, you can't do that. There's no shortcut in this process. But then if you said, could you give me 75 days? Could you give me 75 days? And if you did this for 75 days, you would get that. I don't think most people would say yes. But that's exactly what this is. In 75 days, if you can write a check of your time, commitment, and your life for 75 days for these 5 things, you will be in a place that you've only imagined. I can honestly say I wouldn't have been able to describe the person I am today. And I just saw a few videos that came out in February of myself, and I didn't even recognize myself. My face, besides having a beard, all of that has completely transformed me. Like I'm a completely different person than I was in February. And I'm the same person, but I feel like I'm more of myself and I can bring more to myself to surface than I ever could before. And it only took 75 days. So think about what you're trying to achieve in your life, maybe what your goal is, what your objective is, and know that committing to this 75 hard challenge for me was about a journey that I can give you 75 days. And I would say my journey isn't complete yet. My goal is to weigh 160 and I'm about 184 right now. And so I am going to keep going. It's not just about ending on day 75. It's going to be going and never having the mentality of going back to day 1. It will be a day 380, 480, 560, because every day is a chance to make myself greater and brighter. And you can do it. It begins with just a commitment to first 75 days. It literally is a life-changing mental reprogram. Like I said, it's a mental flush of all the excuses you have, all the BS stories. And you don't have to have it all unpacked. You don't even have to figure it out. All you got to do is do these 5 things for 75 days, and you will get exactly where you need to be. So think about that. If you could give someone 75 days of your life and they told you that you're going to be in a place that you've never imagined in your life, but you've always wanted to be, would you do it? And understand that the time right now has never been easier. And if you're thinking that there's a whole bunch of different reasons to not to do it, I wish I would have figured out a way to get it done way back when the very first time I heard this, because then I would be on day 1,000 already. I wouldn't be on day 72. I would be on day 1,250. I missed all of that opportunity to keep growing. So every day you don't say dive into a challenge like 75 Hard is one day that you're missing out on finding your best self and living that best self every day. And this journey has been one of matching myself on the inside to the outside and learning how to look in the mirror and love everything that I see back. And I can honestly say that has been the most freeing experience that I've ever probably imagined in my life. And very few things compare, marrying my wife, the birth of my kids, but being able to look in the mirror and unconditionally love myself has been something that has always been a struggle. It's something that I've always been seeking, but never really honored and committed to. And this health was the one area that I kind of just said, you know what, I don't think I need to fix that, but I can fix all these other areas. But that was the biggest lie of my life because it was an entire circle that I needed to go through. I needed to go through the other areas, but this one area was the one that was really the ball and chain holding me down. And now that I feel like I got it under control, I'm going into day 75, really short year here. And I can't help but think, because day 75 is really close to D-Day, and I can't help but think that when the Allies landed on Normandy was the day that they went on the offense in World War II. And my day 75 will be very much in the case where I go on the offense in life instead of playing defense, and I go on the create the life on my terms versus reacting to how life happens to me and making life happen for me in my way, in a way that creates the success that I want in my life. So guys, if you have any questions, if you want to have a conversation about 75 Hard, hit me up. I'm an open book. Find me on Instagram at Ben_Kaloy. You can ask me any question. I'm happily to get on the phone. I'm an open book, and I love being a friend for other people in their life. And if any of this resonated and you have a question, let me know. I'd love to help you work through any excuse you have. Like if I can help you remove this excuse to get into your best life, I would absolutely love that, and it would mean the world to me. So if you've resonated with this, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Maybe you're thinking about doing something, but man, just let me know how you're feeling. And I appreciate you guys out there. I know you're doing the hard work. And just remember, this 75 Hard challenge did the one thing that I couldn't. It helped pull out the best part of myself in a way that I always struggled to. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and I will talk to you guys again on Monday.